Did you hear what Pedro Pascal just said? After the final Fantastic Four trailer dropped, he opened up about the massive backlash he faced from Marvel fans. People were saying, he's too old. He's not right for Reed Richards. He needs to shave. And Pedro said, I am more aware of the disgruntlement around my casting than anything I've ever done.
Marvel just made its biggest desperation move yet. And guess who's now holding the ball? Pedro Pascal. Yup, the same guy who's never carried a box office hit on his own, doesn't look anything like Reed Richards, and somehow ends up in more political debates than movie scenes. He's now the face of Marvel's most important reboot. If this goes sideways, and let's be real, it just might, it's game over. If this reboot flops, Marvel isn't just taking another L. They're getting exposed. No safety net, no excuses, just a full-blown meltdown. What we're witnessing now isn't just a couple weak films. It's the total unraveling of a once unstoppable empire. The Marvel Cinematic Universe used to be untouchable. Now it's tripping over itself, fast. And here's the wild part. Everything's riding on Fantastic Four. After 2 back-to-back bombs, Captain America, Brave New World, and Thunderbolts, Marvel's down to just one last card in 2025. One single movie to flip the script, restart the engine, and bring the magic back. And that movie is the Fantastic Four reboot, the supposed crown jewel of this new era of Marvel. And who's leading it? Not Robert Downey Jr. making a legendary comeback. Not some secret A-lister who's been heating up the industry. Not even a fresh breakout star with buzz. Nah, Marvel handed it to Pedro Pascal, a solid actor, sure, but let's be real. He gives off more tired rideshare driver than brilliant scientist with superpowers. And before anyone jumps in saying this is hate, stop. This isn't personal. It's about what keeps happening over and over again. Pattern recognition, like people say. The real issue isn't Pedro. It's Hollywood itself. Every move Marvel makes now feels like panic mode, less about building a strong story and more about plugging leaks. Remember, 2025 was hyped as Marvel's major comeback. 3 big titles, 3 chances to fix the mess. The headlines were loud and proud. Marvel is back. New phase, fresh faces, bold future. But what did fans really get? First up was Brave New World, a so-called Captain America movie that barely had any Captain America vibes. It was like the film dared people to care. No energy, no heart, and absolutely no spark. Audiences didn't just skip it, they straight up ghosted it. Critics didn't even bother to rip it apart, they just shrugged. And then came Thunderbolts, a messy mashup of leftovers from flopped Disney Plus shows, stitched together like some Frankenstein reject. It didn't just confuse fans, it confused the cast too. The whole thing felt like a big whatever from Marvel. Money wasted, hype killed. It tanked quicker than one of Brie Larson's awkward tweets. Now here we are, staring down Fantastic Four, the final hope, the so-called reboot that's supposed to wipe the slate clean. And who's front and center? A guy who's never led a box office hit, ever. Let's break it down one more time. Pedro Pascal wasn't even close to Marvel's first pick. Not second, not third. They went knocking on every door in Hollywood. Adam Driver, Jake Gyllenhaal, Matt Smith. Big names, bold choices, and sure, a little divisive. But they had the look. They had the chops. Most importantly, they had the presence to pull off a role like Reed Richards. And what happened? Every single one of them passed. That's not some rumor. That's what really went down. And let's be clear, Reed Richards isn't the problem here. The role has history. The role has weight. But when no major actor wants to touch it, you gotta ask, what's really going on at Marvel? Reed Richards is one of Marvel's smartest, most legendary characters, a true icon. So why did every major actor in Hollywood pass on him? Simple. Nobody wants to be the face of a franchise in freefall. No one wants to carry the torch for a brand that's been stumbling hard. After getting turned down left and right, Marvel didn't pick Pedro Pascal. They settled for him. Not because he fit the role like a glove, not because he blew them away in auditions. Nah, he just said yes when nobody else would. And now, the entire future of the MCU is riding on a guy who's never led a film to box office glory. Let that sink in. He wasn't the star of Wonder Woman 1984, but he was in it. And that movie bombed bad. Lost money, embarrassed the studio, and fizzled out fast. Then there's Kingsman, The Golden Circle. Again, not the lead, barely there. The Great Wall, total disaster. Gladiator 2, financial faceplant. Even The Mandalorian, yeah, he's technically the main guy, but let's be real, you barely see his face. Dude's helmet stays on 90% of the time. And fans mostly tuned in for that little green alien. Grogu stole the whole show. So what exactly is Pedro Pascal bringing to the Fantastic Four table? If you ask Marvel, it's star power. If you ask the fans, confusion and a whole lot of backlash. The moment his casting was confirmed, the internet lit up with real criticism, not bots, not drama stunts. Real fans who grew up with the Fantastic Four, people who actually care about the characters, and they saw this move as one more slap in the face. A clear sign Marvel's not listening anymore. Even Pedro himself had to speak up. He admitted this role brought more backlash than anything he's ever done. To his credit, he kept it humble, acknowledging the top complaints. He's too old. He doesn't look like Reed. He should at least shave. Yeah, all of that's true. But the issue runs way deeper than just looks or age. This isn't just about Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards. It's about what he represents. This casting choice has become a symbol, a giant neon sign flashing everything that's gone sideways in Hollywood over the past 5 years. Let's lay it out. A-list status, check. Constantly involved in political talk on social media, check. Preaching to the masses online, check. He's got a hardcore fan base that hypes up every average role like he's Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. Check, check, and double check. But ask the real question, is he right for this role? Can he really become Reed Richards to the point where fans forget it's Pedro Pascal on screen? Nah, not even close. Is he the kind of actor who melts into a character the way Christian Bale transforms into whatever he touches? Nope. Is he gonna redefine Mr. Fantastic the way Robert Downey Jr. turned Iron Man into a pop culture legend? Absolutely not. And that's the sting for longtime fans. It's not just a weak casting call, it feels like betrayal. Marvel used to be the studio that made bold casting moves, the underdog picks, the inspired surprises. Now, they're cranking out safe, over-tested choices that feel like they came from a corporate checklist. Remember when they took a chance on Downey? That was a wild risk back then. Evans as Cap, another surprise. Hemsworth, total unknown. But those guys became the characters. They put on the suits, picked up the shield, swung the hammer, and left behind legends. Now it's the complete opposite. Marvel isn't picking the best fit. They're picking the most marketable name with the loudest Twitter following. The magic's fading, and longtime fans can feel it in every move they make. Now it's all about slapping a big name on the poster, whether they fit the role or not. Chemistry? Irrelevant. Box office history? Who cares? Actual storytelling? That's a side note now. Marvel's casting process has turned into a brand name grab, not character-driven choices. They just throw a famous face in there and cross their fingers, hoping fans won't call them out. But here's the thing, we see it. We always see it. Fans know when a character feels off. We feel it when a casting smells like pure panic. And we definitely notice when a once groundbreaking studio starts chasing trends instead of setting them. Right now, it doesn't just feel off. Feels like we're watching the whole Marvel ship sink. And fast. Marvel needs Fantastic Four to land. Not just do okay, not just open decent, it has to crush. This isn't just about ticket sales. It's about saving the entire MCU brand. It needs to dominate the box office, bring the magic back, shut down the critics, and win back the fans who walked away after disasters like She-Hulk, The Marvels, Secret Invasion, and the endless stream of filler from Disney+. This isn't some regular reboot. It's a straight-up rescue mission. And if this movie flops, if it limps across the finish line with 600 or 700 million and calls that a win, that's not just a letdown. That's a funeral march for Marvel Studios. No more excuses, no more blaming COVID, no more calling fans toxic for not vibing with weak scripts, and definitely no more pretending people are skipping Marvel because theaters are dying. Spoiler, they're not. Audiences are still going to the movies. They just ain't going for Marvel. They'll pack the theaters for Top Gun. People are still showing up for Dune, for The Batman, for Godzilla x Kong, no problem. But when it comes to Marvel, crickets, unless something changes fast. And let's be real, they're not pulling up for Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, not unless this movie turns out to be a straight-up miracle. We're talking a 10 out of 10, genre-breaking, jaw-dropping, soul-punching masterpiece. And come on, when's the last time Marvel dropped anything even close to that level? Exactly. The sad part? The writing's already on the wall. And it ain't coming from Reed Richards' lab. It's being scribbled in bold red ink by Marvel's own ego, their own stubborn pride, and their refusal to listen to the people who built this empire, the fans. This was never about Pedro Pascal being bad. He's talented, no doubt. But this is about Marvel taking one of their most brilliant, layered, iconic heroes and handing him over to a guy who just so happens to be trending on social media. That's not casting with purpose, that's chasing clout. It's not about acting chops anymore, it's about who's hot online. Marvel used to pick actors who became the character. Now it's like they're scrolling Instagram to cast billion-dollar roles. They've confused being famous with being right for the part. And fans are feeling the disconnect hard. Fantastic Four could have been Marvel's comeback story, a fresh start, the one that reminded everyone why they fell in love with these stories in the first place. Instead, it's starting to look like a giant red flag, a warning that the people steering this ship have lost the map completely. So when this film flops, in judging by the early buzz that's looking real possible, don't blame the fans for being too negative. That's not the problem. But let's be crystal clear. If Fantastic Four crashes, it won't be because fans were too harsh. It'll be because Marvel stopped respecting its own legacy. For years, this was the studio that built an empire off of trust. Fans trusted the vision, trusted the castings, trusted the world building. Now, that trust is hanging by a thread, and Marvel keeps handing the scissors to people who don't even know how to hold them. Look around. The MCU isn't collapsing because audiences changed. It's falling apart because the studio did. The hunger for epic stories hasn't gone anywhere. People still crave superheroes, but they want heroes who feel real, stories that hit hard, moments that matter, and not generic scripts padded with jokes and cameos that lead nowhere. What we're getting instead, copy-paste vibes, overproduced, underwritten, and totally out of touch with the core. Marvel used to take its time. Now it feels like they're racing to hit deadlines, even if it means dropping movies that feel half-baked. And you expect Fantastic Four to fix all that? With one movie, led by a cast that's already got fans side-eyeing every frame? This ain't just about Reed Richards. This is about what Marvel used to mean. When a new MCU movie dropped, it felt like an event. Now it feels like an obligation. Like homework. That spark? Gone. And unless this film finds a way to light the flame again, the whole house is going dark. You can't build a comeback off nostalgia alone. You can't revive a dynasty by pretending the flaws aren't there. If Marvel wants to survive this next phase, it better stop tweeting and start listening. Because if Fantastic Four flops, there might not be a Phase 6 worth saving. It's not gonna be some secret plot to take down Pedro Pascal. That's just noise. The real issue? Marvel forgot the fundamentals. They lost sight of what made this universe special. They forgot how to cast for the character, not for the algorithm. They forgot how to connect with real fans who actually show up, buy the tickets, and care about these stories. And most of all, they forgot how to care themselves. If Marvel doesn't snap out of this soon, it's over. No more heroes worth cheering for, no more epic premieres, no more fans waiting up at midnight for the next trailer drop. Just another studio that got too big, too cocky, and crashed into the same wall everyone saw coming. One more franchise, shattered by its own arrogance. One more billion-dollar brand turned into a pop culture punchline. And worst of all, a fan base that finally said, "We're done." So if you felt this breakdown, if you're one of the real ones still hoping Marvel figures it out, hit that like button, share this with your crew, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives that actually say what fans are thinking. Catch you on the next one.